So about 30 years ago, it was November of 1996. I've been teaching an Experiencing God class with a few people in our church, and I just felt like God was trying to tell me something. I couldn't, as I was going through this, it was the second or third time I'd been through the study where I was leading the class, and God just started pushing. I mean, it was kind of like He was just saying, "I got something for you. I got something for you." And I was saying, "Okay, I'm whatever. I'm here. Whatever you say, I'm ready." And so in November, we were going through the study, and about the sixth or seventh, actually about the seventh week, I was studying to prepare to teach the class, and it was an awesome class. I don't know if y'all never done an Experiencing God class, you need to do that. But it was. But God would just He just kept on saying, I've got something I'm going to do. I want to do something for you and through you. And I thought, wow, what could that be? And along about the seventh week, I remember we had about, I don't know, this is probably 10 people in the class or something like that. And I got ready to go teach that time, and God said, I want you to tell your class that that you believe that I'm calling you to the ministry. And I said, wow, that's scary. I mean, here I am, dumb as dirt, high school dropout. How could I, what could I ever do? I mean, I just can't do it. I don't know. But He said, just tell them, just tell them. And I remember starting that class, and we were talking through some of the points of the study, and I just said, look, God just told me that I've got to tell y'all something, and I remember just laying it out there with tears in my eyes, saying, I believe God's calling me to the ministry, and I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I can't imagine myself preaching or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, here I am, a high school dropout, and in my mind, dumb as dirt. And he just said, "That's all I want you to do. Tell them that I'm." In other words, it's one of those things that you can be confirmed at that. Well, I did that, and I went through that whole thing, and I remember going to talk to my pastor and telling him, I said, I believe God's calling me to the ministry. He made it pretty clear, and I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I don't know that I could stand up and preach in front of anybody, or whatever. And he said, well, I tell you what, you need to start wherever you're at and start working on an education. And I said, well, I'm a high school dropout. I got to get my GED or something first. He said, well, start there then. So I did that, but I talked to some other people in our church, and there was a guy going to our church. His name was Clyde Cranford, and they kept telling me, you need to go talk to him. He can help you with this. He can help you understand. He can disciple you or mentor you into this place. And I said, well, all right, I'll do that. And I kind of knew Clyde a little bit just because of being around the church and stuff. And I finally went up to him and I talked to him and told him what was going on, and he said, yeah, I'll mentor you. And I had to do a lot of the other things, getting through getting my GED, and then starting seminary in the next year at Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary, and I had to go through all of that. But Clyde was there with me. He was just walking me through things. We were about the same age. Most of the guys that he discipled, he had probably at one time 15 or 20 guys at a time that he was doing one-on-one discipleship with. But really we became real good friends, and since we were so close in age, we just got to be friends. We could hang out, and I'd tell him what was going on. He'd start talking to me about the scripture, and I'd talk back to him about what I believed and all that kind of stuff. He said, "You don't need this kind of discipleship. You just need somebody to walk you through the process." So we became really good friends, and well, the thing about it is, Clyde was dying. He was grossly overweight. He probably, I don't know, 400 or 500 pounds, huge guy, almost my height. I'm 6'4", he's probably 6'2", and but he was just a gentle soul that just loved the Lord, and you just kind of oozed out of him all the time, and I just love that. And we got to be, like I said, good friends, and we started talking, and he would tell me about, I'm dying. I have congestive heart failure and not really expected to live a long time. And I said, well, I can understand, your fear and whatever. He said, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of stepping into eternity. I know where I'm going to go. But that part about getting there from here, in other words, the dying part of it, was the scary part for him. And I thought, wow, this is the most godly man that I've ever met. And he was afraid of dying. The dying part of dying, not afraid of dying and what's going to happen afterwards, but he was just that process. It just bothered him to think about that. But we became close, and I talked to him, and both of us were talking back and forth, and I just did a lot of praying for him, and of course, maybe a couple of years later, he did die. He had a rough time of it, but my friend was gone, and that never left me that Clyde Cranford was afraid of dying, the dying part of dying, not afraid of where he was going to go, most confident man that I'd ever met, and but God used him mightily in my life and a lot of other guys' life, and basically, and I think really my ministry ended up being more like his, where I disciple people. That's more of what I do. I've done some preaching, a lot of funerals, a lot of weddings, and just teaching and class and different things like that. But discipleship, where I'm discipling people, and that's where God has me. So, but he was a real influence in that. Anyway, the story today, the devotional, is about dying, and really a beautiful story about Clyde, and how we can end up having that same kind of beautiful story that Clyde had. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.